But number one, what he says is, this is what I learned my faithful God offers. In our failures, God offers unfailing love. Through the Lord's mercies, verse 22, which, by the way, never change. The Lord, nothing we can do makes Him love us any more or love us any less. Did you know that's one of the most liberating truths in the Bible? You can't do something to make the Lord love you more. And you can't do something to make Him love you less. His love doesn't change. And all of a sudden Jeremiah realized that. And he says, through the Lord's mercies we're not consumed, because His compassionate, His hesed, His loving kindness never fails. He hasn't changed. My circumstances have changed. My situation in life, the relationship of other people to me, what I thought was going to happen with my 40-year ministry didn't turn out. But you know what? Even though all of that has changed, one thing hasn't. God hasn't changed. So number one, in our time of feeling like failures, God continuously offers His unfailing love. Jeremiah didn't say he was perfect. He says, I know I'm weak. And the Lord revealed to him that God's love never failed to him, even if he failed, even if he felt out of touch, even if he felt like God was harming him. God said, I'm not harming you. You can feel that way if you want, but I'm not, because my love never fails toward you. Number two, look at verse 23. This is the very center of the book. Remember I told you this would be the very center? We've had a 22-verse chapter 1, 22-verse chapter 2, 22-verse beginning of chapter 3. Now the first verse of this next poem starts the central message of this book. And it launches with its 23rd verse. And this is what it says. Into our monotonous lives, look what the Lord promises. Freshness. Here it is. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. They are new, what? His compassions. His love. You know, have you ever noticed if you live where people get the newspaper that they trot out early to get that paper if it's an early delivery? I've seen people in I haven't seen anybody here because nobody goes out because of the inclement weather it's been. But I bet in the summer they'll come out. But they go out to the paper box. I've seen people in Oklahoma go out at 5 a.m. in their slippers, in their bathrobes, because they want the morning fresh news. Now, those are usually older people. The younger ones are at the screen. They're getting it updated from the computer. But in the old days, people used to go get the newspaper. It's the same idea. Look what he says. They are new every morning. It's kind of like the mail arriving. It's kind of like the fresh news that used to be delivered in the mailboxes. It's so important. He says, that's what I find in my monotonous life of feeling away and distant and all that. The Lord says, I will give you something fresh every morning. Me. See, everything else got taken away from him. If you can get this, it's good for a lifetime of blessing. If you look past the physical failing health, the financial struggles, if you look past the friends that come and go, if you look past the circumstances that change, God says, I'm here. I'm here. You're looking the wrong direction. Look at me. I'm here. You're looking out at all your troubles and all your woes and everything you're losing and all your physical problems and all your emotional problems. But the whole time that was going on, turn around. I'm here. I am fresh and new every morning. And he said, and then you see that Jeremiah breaks into this praise. He says, because your compassions don't fail, verse 23, because your love for me is new every morning, great is your faithfulness. You want to ruin the devil's work on you? Instead of looking in self-pity at everything you've lost and all the struggles and all the problems and all the woes, look away from that and say, but you haven't ever left, have you, Lord? You've never changed. My circumstances have. You change not. You are faithful. You've been with me through all the problems, all the losses, all the struggles, all the shouted prayers that I thought you weren't listening and you were saying, I'm right here. I hear it all. They are new every morning. into our monotonous lives of pain and struggle, look what the Lord promises in the 23rd verse. His daily, fresh presence. Have you ever thought about how monotonous life could be without God's faithfulness, His newness, His freshness? Basically, many of us do the same thing every day at work. My dad did the same thing for 46 years in the same building. How'd you like to do that? The same thing in the same building for 46 years in Lansing. I thought about that. I've done the very same thing for over 31 years. Every day. Every day I spend a large portion of my time wrestling with this book, the Bible. By the way, I don't get a new one. It isn't like, oh, you finished the Bible, now there's another book to move on to. It's the same book. You know what I mean? It's not like that we can get a better one that's a little more zinged up and it's got more in it. It's just all here. If you think about it, I know a lot of men in ministry who say that it's so monotonous they have to find something new and they're always trying to find something different. You know what God says? He says, come back and find the old paths. You'll find rest for your souls, He says, because if you're constantly looking for something new, you're missing the old, because He says, I am here all the time. And that's the thing that Jeremiah had to learn. But look at verse 24. This is fascinating. The third thing you learn. Number one, in our failures, God's love never fails. Number two, in our monotonous, God is daily fresh and new.